first things first, you've just bought or signed up to Google Apps for Education. So one of the great things about Google, it's available on all devices. So you do have Chromebooks, which are Google, and you can access everything there, but you can also use them on Windows and Apple devices, either through apps or through web browsers. In terms of Windows devices, if you can access through Google Chrome, it is much better. You get a much smoother performance. What I will also say is if you have any problems after this, there's a really, really good website. Hold on, let me share my screen with you before I do that. Okay. Please, if you have any questions or you can't see my screen at any point, please comment in the chat window and then I can see any messages that have come up if you do have any questions. Hi, Sally, if you could hide your microphone, hide your camera, that would be really good because we're currently recording it as well. I just don't want you to appear. Okay, so hopefully everyone can see my screen. If you can't, please just comment in the chat window and I can sort that out. Okay, so as I was saying, if you do get stuck after this training, you can go to this really useful website from Google, which is called teachfromhome.google. It has got loads and loads of really short tutorials on pretty much every aspect of Google Apps for Education. As you can see, there's loads down here. So if you are stuck, it's worth just having a little look there because it might answer your question really quickly. Or if you just think, I sort of know what I'm doing, but I need a refresher, there's little videos there as well. Okay. So I will go through this now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to... Hi, Kira. It's trained for Google Apps for Education, not Microsoft. So the Microsoft one is later on today, I believe. This one's the Google training. Okay, so what I will do is I will run through all the outline of using Google Meet and how to use it for communication. I'm going to go through adding things on the calendar, setting up meetings, how you meet with the children, and then a little bit on Google Drive. If you have questions, please just put them in the chat window and I will come to them as soon as I can. If you have any big things like, for example, if my video, I stopped presenting or anything, please actually unmute and shout because if I'm on a different window, I may not realise that it has happened. I've got a few more people joining there. Okay, so as I said, Google is... Hi, Natalia. Can I ask you to hide your microphone for me, please? So down the bottom, you've got your options. So I'm going to go through that first. So this is Google Meet, meet.google. Down here is your meeting details. So what is happening, where you've joined. You can actually do it through voice as well. You've got a dial-in number. When creating the meeting, you can add attachments. So whether that's just a meeting for, whether that is just an attachment as in a meeting agenda, but you could also, if you were doing it with a class, you could put classwork in there, lots of different things, or just important things for the meeting. Okay, along the bottom, we have got here you can turn off your microphone, you can leave the chat, and you can also use turn off your camera. Okay, here we also have captions. Okay, so one of the really good things about Google, particularly with Google you've got Google Translate, so you can put captions on, which is really good if you've got any sort of hearing impaired children or children that struggle with hearing, you can use. But also there is a setting, and you'll need your consultant I think they need to go in and set it to add the language, but you can put captions in different languages. So you could, if a child doesn't speak English as their first language, or if their parents are sort of joining in with the meeting too, they could put it in if they don't speak English, you could use their language there as well. Okay, so here, this is your presenting screen. I've clicked here. It's going to just say stop presenting. For you, when you click it, it would give you the option to present your screen. It gives a few options there, so you can do the whole screen, or you can do a tab. I tried just doing a tab and I found it wasn't very helpful. It made a bit of a buzzing noise. I don't know if that was my connection, but I found it easier just to do the whole screen. Although what I would say is if you are doing the whole screen, be vigilant, particularly if you've got your emails open or anything like that. You don't want the children, don't want that to be shown depending on who you're meeting with. Okay, then we've got more options down here. So up here, we've got the recording button. So I've clicked record, so my option is now to stop recording, but you could set yours to record. When you record a meeting, it saves in your Google Drive. Okay, so then you can change your layout, you can change your screen size, you've got your captions again, settings, and then you've also got the way to use it as a phone for audio as well. Okay, then up on this side, so if I click here, I've got all my meeting details along the top. But if I click here, again, I can see my chat window. Okay, so I'm just going to leave that open so I can see if anyone adds anything. Right. So Google Meets is using videos and calls, whereas some of you may have heard of Google Hangouts. That's more text-based, so like messaging. We think they will probably become amalgamated before long to be Google Hangout Meets rather than Meets and Hangouts. Meets now seems to be the thing most people are using. Google G Suite for Education is a premium product. So what it means is you've got up to 250 participants. Really good for in school because you can have a whole class, a whole phase group, or year group, depending on who you're meeting, or just a whole staff meeting. You've got enough capacity. And that also enables the recording. You don't have that with the standard Google. You can't record your meets. And you can also stream in domain. Before arranging any meetings, I do, well, not before, but before any formal meetings, I do suggest you call set up a meet with another member of staff and just check everything is working in your domain, because I know from my school, although now we have just gone to DFE, the DFE funding, before that I set up a meet and actually not all of it was enabled. So it's just good to do a trial run to make sure. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to go through is setting up how to arrange a meeting, and how we do that. So the first thing is we go into calendar.google. Now up here you've got your 9 dots, your app launcher. If you click on this, you have got all your tiles, all your options. You can drag and drop these to make them to be the things you use the most frequently, so you can arrange it how you would like. Okay, so I'm going to start with calendar. There it is, there's our calendar. I can click anywhere where I would like a meeting, so I'm going to click one for Thursday, for Friday. I know I've got another training for Thursday, I don't want to confuse things. Okay, so I could put staff meeting as my event. So I can add events, add guests here. I can also add Google Meet video conferencing. So if I click that in, it straight away gives me my call link, and the person that I've added, it will email them that link so that when they join the meeting, I save that. Now if I've got that join here. So on that day, I can go in and I can just click join and it will join me to that meeting. Okay, so that's the start of it. However, let's just, if we go into editing this, so that pencil's the edit button. I can now edit any times. I can set it to be a repeating event. So, for example, say you had an SLT meeting every Thursday, you could set that. You can also down here, you can add an agenda, but you can also add attachments, okay, from your OneDrive. So there's a few options there. You can also set rooms if you have set that in your school, so you can set where the room's going to be. So there's a few different things there. The other type of calendar meeting for this you can do is you can create appointment slots. So if I do, for example, parents' evening, we don't know how things are going to change in the future. So I'm going to do 12 o'clock till 3:30, and I'm going to give the slots 10-minute slots. Okay. If I save that and I can click on that link, it will take me to an appointment page of that calendar. And you'll see there's all my slots. So if I booked that appointment, go back into my meeting. I don't think it's going to show me on here because I'm the same person, but this will fill in. Nobody can book the same appointment slot at the same time. So, oh, there we go. There's my first booking come up. So you can make it, this is quite good as well for sort of say assignment feedback or something like that, but you can make it so that each person only can come to one event. Okay. So there's your appointments. If you create something in Google Classroom, if I just show you in Google Classroom, I'm not going to go into Google Classroom in too much detail, but if I create an assignment, which I've done here, it appears in my calendar. It also appears in every one of my Year 5 Bluebells classes calendar, so they also can see it. Okay, so in terms of using Hangouts with your class, Hangouts is, you can set up a Google Meet, with your class. Once you have set it, pupils can join your Meet, but they cannot join without a teacher being present. Okay, when they leave, we suggest the teacher is the last person to leave, they cannot then come back in without the teacher being present. So what's really, really good about that in terms of e-safety is they're not going to be able to meet away from this. So you know that then it's covered. I'm going to go through a few e-safety bits here at this point as well. So in terms of using Hangouts and video chats and things, obviously it's a whole new way of learning. It's all different. Every school is going to have a slightly different approach, and nobody really seems to have set a policy in their schools as yet, or if they have, they're quite outdated. COVID has caused everybody to have to move forward a lot quicker than we have been with technology and remote learning. So these are suggestions. It's down to your individual schools on how you implement them. But one thing we do suggest is if you're arranging a Google Meet with a class, is to make sure there's always 2 adults present. So either having an LSA that's with the class, or having, if you've got 2 Year 5 classes, having both teachers present, just covering yourselves by having more than 1 adult present. We also at that point suggest as well you record it, because obviously if there was any allegations or anything happened, you have got a recording you can show you are following best practice. Now the next one has a little bit of debate between some people. We as a company suggest that you recommend children have webcams off. I've had some schools saying, well, we want the children to see each other and say hi. I do understand that. However, you don't know what's going on in the background of their house. You can't check every house. You don't know who's watching something on TV that might not be suitable for the rest of the class if it appears. You also don't know who's in that house. I don't know, someone might have just got out of the shower and walked past. You can't prevent any of that happening. Or children, like, you don't know what they're going to be wearing, etc., etc. There's loads. It's such a vague thing because technically you are in their houses. So we do recommend that you have webcams off just for that reason. Unions have given some guidance over being cautious over live sessions. I think is okay to do, and I think it works really well, but just treat it with care is the main thing I would suggest. Okay, so that's the meets. I'm just going to go through Google Drive a bit for you as well, because I think that's quite an important element of Google. So if I come back to my launcher, I'm going to Drive. So again, everything you're looking for in Google, drive.google.com, meet.google.com, calendar.google.com. If you can't find something, that's where it is. Okay, your Drive is really, really useful. It's your where you can save all your files. You have a huge amount of storage, so don't feel worried about that. Eventually, your school, you can set a shared drive, a bit like you have your shared files in school. You can also create them up in the cloud that everyone can access. But your own drive, your classroom will so your Google Classroom, that will create its own folder within your Drive, but also all your files will come up here. You can also create your own. So we have Google Docs, which is Word documents, Google Sheets, Google Slides. You've also got Forms, which is sort of a quiz, and then a few other extras down here. Your key ones are up here. If you create them, I just open Google Docs, it brings up a blank document. One of the great things about this is it's live time. Anything you do, it will automatically save. If your computer shuts down or you run out of battery, anything like that on your laptop, it automatically saves into your Drive, so you can then access it from anywhere else and do. The other great thing about this is the collaborative working. So you can change the sharing. Oh, let's just you can also change your sharing options, so you can give a link, and you can give people different permissions. Okay, so what you can do is you can work collaboratively through this, so you can share the link and then work with other members of staff. If it's a policy document or something, or lesson plans, you can all add. The other side of that is you can get pupils to collaborate and all be working on the same document at the same time. Natalia, there will be it will be going online, so you'll be able to watch it on YouTube. I think the link is in the booking form. Joe, you can unfortunately you can turn off the microphones remotely, but you can't turn off the videos. So yeah, you can turn off the microphones, but you can't turn off the videos remotely, which is why we just recommend, as soon as you start, you sort of just go through it as children join. Again, just like I did when people were joining the chat, just asking everyone to turn their microphone, their videos off as they join. I think I've covered I've gone through my tick list. I think I've covered most things. Is there any other questions anyone has? What do you mean? If you leave Google, if you leave a meeting? Oh, if you leave the school and leave your email account, you would lose your stuff in Google Drive, but you could download it or move it onto your personal Google account at that point if you needed to take it. It's quite easy just to download it if you were moving to another school. Yes, so the school could still get access, Sally, until they mute your account. So generally, most schools, if somebody leaves, we just sort of suspend their account rather than delete it, because obviously if there was a reason why we needed to go back into it, it's still there. Joe, in terms of presenting, yes, they can see whatever is on your screen. So if I opened a PowerPoint, you would see that. If I opened something on so you see my web browser, but if I opened anything down here, you would still see that as well. However, you can change your presenting window to be just the web browser, but I've just found personally, and as I say, it could just be my computer, it didn't work as flawlessly as using when you present just the whole screen. Any other questions? Sally, as far as I'm aware, it's the person that sets the recording. So the owner of the meeting gets ownership of the recording. It's the person that's set it to record and set the meeting. I don't know if that's the same with Google Apps for Education, because I'm pretty much aware that I'm normally the last person to leave, but I haven't always been, and I've still got a copy of my recording. Any other questions at all? Before I leave, I'll just remind you again, for anyone that started a bit late or anything like that, if you do get stuck, this teachfromhome.google, really good website for extra tips for using it. There's all sorts of things here which are really useful. We are doing a training on Thursday on Google Classroom. Joe, yes, you can. So in the options down here, more options, you can change the layout. The only reason you probably can't at the moment is because you're seeing my screen. But in terms of when you're not presenting or anything like that, you can just see all the people on the faces. So you can change the layout and see everybody's screen at the same, all the faces at once. Oh, I thought you could. I don't. Yeah, I think if you go into the tiled, I think you can see a lot more. Have a play around with it, but do come back to us if you can't, and we can have a look into it, because I'm sure there is settings where you can see all of them. I know my school, I brought that up with my school, and they said, okay, yeah, because I spoke to my school and they I thought that, and they said, oh no, we had a meeting, we could see everybody. So to have another play and just have a see. Okay, any other questions? Okay, well, thank you very much for coming. If you do have questions, as I say, please do get in contact. Also, this should be going live. Unfortunately, the last one I did of these, somebody accidentally deleted it. I don't quite know what happened, but it's not online. So we are going to be putting this one online for access. There's as I say, there's also the teachfromhome.google website as well. And on Thursday, we are doing Google Classroom. So we'll go in a lot more detail about how to set classes, how to set assignments, and all of that things. So thank you very much.